Hi everybody, welcome to Peter H's DVD review on angrymarks.com. My name is Peter H, and this show is dedicated to movie DVDs, wrestling DVDs, basically anything with a wrestling tie-in. We used to do this on audio format on angrymarks.com, and Stevie J, the owner of the Angry Marks, asked me to present the show in a video cast form. So to promote Angry Marks, or youtube.com/angrymarks is where the show is located, as well as angrymarks.com. So today's DVD, the first DVD we're going to be doing on a video cast, is one of my favorites, the Bret Hart DVD, The Best There Is, The Best There Was, and The Best There Ever Will Be. Basically, the DVD starts out with Vince McMahon thanking the fans for buying the DVD and thanking Bret for putting the past behind him so that this project could go forward. We look first at Bret's family, his father Stu, moving to Canada, building up Stampede Wrestling, and talks about Bret growing up, basically being the provincial wrestling champion in Greco-Roman wrestling, and filling in Stampede Wrestling. Basically, he decided to become a wrestler, so he started to work through the ranks. The next scene in the DVD is dedicated to Stampede Wrestling, in fact, with a very good detail of the Bret Hart versus Dynamite Kid series of matches they had for the North American title, I believe. It was a really good series, really good young Bret Hart matches here. I would have liked to see more matches personally on this disc. You'll see further on, but there wasn't much emphasis on Stampede Wrestling. I'd love to have some more Stampede Wrestling matches, maybe in the future DVD release. The next scene is basically Vince McMahon buys Stampede Wrestling, sort of like as he was buying different territories around North America. So Bret and Bulldog and Davey all went to WWF. He tells a funny story of how they wanted to label him Cowboy Bret Hart, wear a hat to the ring, ride up on a horse, and Bret wasn't very keen on that idea. He said, "Why don't I just tag with Jim Neidhart? We become the Hart Foundation." And at first the agents shot it down, but then after a while they're like, you know what, let's give him a shot. So basically, the Hart Foundation was born. The next scene basically focuses, well, after that, I mean, the Hart Foundation, they show some of their highlights as well as splitting the tag titles, for example. On a side note, this show is basically a straight to the point. I'm not going to be using filler for most of this. It's basically a straightforward to the point review of DVDs, as my audio show was. So we go from the Hart Foundation to Bret's singles career, leading up to his Intercontinental title match versus, well, he won the title versus Mr. Perfect, and this scene, basically, the chapter in this DVD goes towards the Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam versus the British Bulldog in Wembley Stadium in England. Very good match. Basically, this match catapulted Bret from IC champion to a world title contender. Leading on to his first title win versus Ric Flair. They don't show the match, of course, because it was at a house show, but it kind of led to the whole anything is possible in WWF. I mean, they always promote that after that. The first title win, leading on to him losing the title at WrestleMania 9 versus Yokozuna in Caesar's Palace. That was the same night that Yokozuna fought Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan won the title. Hart doesn't have a really strong opinion of Hulk Hogan, and you can see it in this scene. They also highlight how Bret climbs the ladder after this title loss, basically winning the King of the Ring, where he fought 3 different opponents in one night, and basically 3 different matches showing that he can work with anybody. And also, this led to the WrestleMania 10 match, world title match, versus Yokozuna. At this point in the DVD, they go off to the side and focus on a great feud with his brother Owen. Of course, they fought at WrestleMania 10, and then they had the rematch in the Steel Cage at SummerSlam that year, which was really amazing. So after that, the DVD goes into while Bret's champion reign was climbing, he was having above average matches at this point with other contenders. but he was kind of disturbed that they were going in a new direction. They're really pushing Shawn Michaels. And this leads to the Iron Man match, of course, and the Hart versus HBK match has been talked about on the internet lots and lots of times. And Brett has some comments, well, intermittent with the match before, during, and after. And another good point, if you love this DVD, read the book as well. Brett's book, it basically goes in more in depth. It's a heavy read, but it's a great read if you're a wrestling fan. So after the Iron Man match, Brett takes a little bit of a break, and then decides to come back, and he's put right into a feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series. This feud is great. It goes from Survivor Series to the Royal Rumble all the way to WrestleMania, where he fights Stone Cold in a submission match with Ken Shamrock as a special guest referee. One of my favorite matches, actually. I could watch this match over and over again. And it is included in the extras. We'll talk about that later on. So after the Stone Cold feud, it kind of leads into the Canada versus USA, Hart Foundation versus Stone Cold feud. And this, I remember this like it was yesterday. I love this angle. Obviously being from Canada, you know who I cheered for. But it was kind of nice that in one country he was like a god, and in another country he would be spit on and people would throw crap at him. It was a really hot angle. I think this angle really helped WWE at that. No, it was WWF this time. Basically win the Monday Night Wars, or at least it was a contributing factor at this point. So of course, after the Canada versus USA, we go to the Montreal Screwjob. Not one of my favorite parts of the DVD. It's funny how in this DVD, you want to talk about the Screwjob, they didn't have Earl Hebner, they didn't have Shawn Michaels, they didn't have the key players in this angle discussing their role or their opinion of it. So basically one-sided. After the Screwjob, Brett went to WCW. They focused on his feud with Goldberg, where Goldberg speared Brett in Toronto, but Brett was wearing a steel plate under his jersey and basically knocking out Goldberg. Then tragedy struck, of course, when Owen died. They talk about Brett's match with Chris Benoit, which was a great match. That's also on DVD. After that, we talk about Brett's WCW title win, where he won the title again in Toronto versus Chris Benoit at the Mayhem pay-per-view. After that, in the next month, he had a concussion fighting Goldberg with a reverse mule kick that basically ended his career. After that, we'll talk about his stroke, and that's where the DVD ends. So we'll be right back after a short break, and we'll talk about the extras on this DVD.
Pro wrestling got you down? Need something to lift your spirits? Listen to the podcast at angrymarks.com. If wrestling gets you all hot and bothered, we've got what you need. Visit angrymarks.com or subscribe for free on iTunes. The angrymarks.com podcast, where the marks get nothing but satisfaction.